Sir, by the way, Isaiah is in the room and he just wants to make sure that he's known that he's here. And I just told him to zip it. He said, you better be wearing pants.
I am wearing pants, just not the appropriate one.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
No. Even at work. I have my pajama.
I don't know. He said he's off the Wi-Fi and whatnot, but I don't think you need it. Like your image is very clear. I hear you very well because a lot of people have noticed the Wi-Fi really plays up. Like the lady that I recorded the other day, her Wi-Fi was so crap. Like I couldn't see her at all. It was so blurry. But then this
Oh,
is why I like this platform because when you go back to look at it, it's all crystal clear and you can make it 4K
oh,
and whatnot. So.
wow. Wow. I should have gotten my beads.
Do
Ah,
you have any?
yeah, I should have gotten mine. I should have worn mine, but
It's all right. You look fantastic. I love it.
thank you. And I'm gonna wash off everything for the breathwork, so I won't look this good.
Honestly, you look good all the time anyway, by the way. But I am so excited. Like even the thought of doing this now and then having the breath work. Let me just put my phone on silent.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, when you said that you were gonna do it, I'm like, wow, how
Mhm.
perfect is that? This gonna be for both of us.
Yeah,
So awesome. Yeah.
I am so glad that we're finally doing this.
I
Oh my God, it's been a
know.
long time coming. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with because see, this is what I love the fact that I know you. Even though I've noticed when I have new people on, I love the fact that I don't know anything about them because I get to learn it there. But
Yeah.
with you it's different because I obviously have a bit of a history with you, right? We've been friends for a while now. And
Yeah.
also went through a part of not talking, which had another kind of layer of growth for both of us.
Yeah.
So so oh God, do I introduce you or no?
I know. I know there's so much that we could talk about,
Mhm.
and honestly, um, you got busy in the middle of
Mhm.
December, so we haven't talked as much.
Yeah,
Um, and just, here, hi, how are you? That type of thing. So this would be really good
yeah,
to
we're good.
just have conversation and catch up with each other.
Yes, and I am already I already know that I haven't told anybody that I've got you on my podcast, and I know when I'm gonna post it, which is gonna be in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. So you're good. So I've got two that are already ready to go out, and the one that I recorded on Friday, and you're gonna be after that. And I know when this is gonna come out, if everybody's gonna be wow. Oh,
I
shit.
know, because honestly, Phoenix, I don't know if I ever told you, but especially I think since November, I haven't been on social media at all,
Mhm.
and I haven't been really in real contact with
A lot of
hardly
people.
anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will be
Oh,
fun.
oh. So are we going? Are we getting into it? We've already gotten into it. In case you haven't noticed, we have already gotten into it, which is great. Cheers. I've got my coffee here. I've noticed you do too.
Cheers.
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 So this is how this is gonna go. Oh my God. Ooh. This is it. Like you are my friend. Your name is
Hmm.
Suzanne, but you've also got, and this is what I don't know why this doesn't show up whenever I edit this. The names on the screens. You can see the names on the screens now, but whenever
Yeah.
I edit it, they don't show up. So I don't know what that is all about. Maybe I need to have a different kind of upgrade on this thing, even though I'm already a paying client. But there's different
Right.
levels because maybe that will keep your name on then. But for anybody that's not able to see this, you've got Suzanne over there, and AKA
Yeah.
Ninja.
Yeah.
And I think I would love it if you could start there with a little bit about your background and maybe even how we met. I'm not going to tell the story. You can tell the story. And how you got the name Ninja, basically.
Alright. Wow. Wow. That's going back to July 2020. But a little bit about my background is I'm hearing impaired, and it was discovered when I was 6, and I got my hearing aids when, on my 7th birthday. Um, and being young, everything was great. I was happy. Um, I felt loved by my family. And then something happened around 7, 8, maybe 9. Um, there was some verbal abuse, physical abuse, and I, got married when I was 23. I got divorced when I was 25, and then I got remarried when I was 32, and I recently am divorced. It's been a year now that I've been divorced. I have 2 young boys. Actually, they're not young, but they are in my heart. Um, so yeah, things really shifted in 2020, and I was looking for something. And as most people know, that you kind of wake up one day and it's like, is this it? There's got to be more. And so I was doing a lot of research, and I started following Dr. Joe Dispenza, which I had not heard of until I have not heard of him until 2017 when I was watching a documentary. And so I started looking him up and know his story, started following him. And then I kept seeing this gentleman showing up on the Facebook page. And every now and then I would comment on his, post. And I remember I was walking on Broadway, and I had my AirPods on and listening to his video. And that video literally stopped me in my track. And I responded, I commented, and he commented back, and we went back and forth a little bit and stuff. And then he sent me a private message saying, "Hey, I got this thing going on, this program, course, I'm not sure." And I was talking to him live, and I gave him my credit card. And Phoenix, I tell you, in that moment, I had no idea what I had signed up for, but I trusted him.
Mm-hmm.
And and I 2 weeks later, I was in Beyond Limits. And in that course, after a few weeks of going through this, we had to come up with a new name to become the person that I wanted to become,
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing the new name as the new person versus the old name. So it was like, when I recognize I'm in my old pattern versus my new self.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was Ninja Warrior, and why I came up with that name, it took me a few days, but I was loving the course, and I was gonna kick ass, and I was gonna come in like a ninja, and I was gonna kick ass. And that's how. So I was Ninja Warrior, then I became Ninja, and then I became Ninja, and then I became um Nin Bear. I mean, all kinds of nicknames and stuff. So that's how I came up with Ninja, and I kicked ass. I totally kicked ass.
I can attest to that because I think uh, I met you probably when you were. I don't know whether you were at the end. No, actually, I met you when we were doing the one on miniseries. So I think you
Yeah.
must have finished the Beyond Limits course. and you signed up for a one-on-one miniseries after, or maybe when you were still doing the Beyond Limits. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it was called the After Show. So I think it was 9-week program,
Yeah.
and then you had the option to stay in the community and
Hmm.
get coaching, and that's what. Um, so I was in the After Show. So when you did her 1 day breath work, I was on that too,
Hmm.
and then you can tell your story, but yeah, that's how I came to face with you.
Yeah, because we were. I remember one of the calls. So, oh God, we gotta put a bit of preface to all this. So, the person you were talking about that you spoke to, that's Scott, right? It was Scott that you had
Yes.
the
Oh, I'm
conversation.
sorry. I didn't even say his name. Scott. Yes. I
And
just said this gentleman.
yes, and his wife M, right? Because we're and she's the one that's doing the one-on-one miniseries, the breathwork. So they two and another one of their friends, Simon, had a course called Beyond Limits. So that's the one that you
Yeah.
were talking about, right? That you joined, and
Yeah.
later on I joined too. But I think we first met on the one-on-one miniseries, which is a breathwork course that M has. That I'm
Hmm.
absolutely sure she still has now. So maybe I'll put that link in there too if anybody wants to know more about breathwork.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and and I remember thinking, oh, I wonder what this lady is like. Initially, when I first saw you there on the course and what she's doing, what she's up to, and I think that's how our friendship kind of started, with being that. And then I remember at a certain point you started working for Em and Scott, and things just evolved there for you. Would you like to go a little bit into that story and what happened, like after you done the
After.
after show and all of that part? Yeah.
Yeah. It was so. Yeah. It was crazy actually because by December of 2020, I started kept getting this documentary. Um, doing it. And at first, I thought I need to watch more of them, but then it started getting clear that I need to do a documentary interviewing people, how they come from rock bottom up to, where they are. So I had mentioned that to M. I said, I don't know. I either see the word or somebody says the word and it just keeps coming up. And I still recognize and still trying to learn synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right word? Okay. So
Synchronicity.
I was still, yes.
Yeah.
And I was still trying to recognize what that was, what that meant. And so we were talking about it. And I don't know, a month later, she says, hey, do you want to be the host of the Freedom Project TV? And I'm like, what? So that's how that started. So I did that for probably 9 months. And then they decided not to do the TV anymore, but they wanted me to continue working for them as an advisor or oh, my title was um oh, what was my title? Anyway, so I was working for them, maintaining the social media platform, maintaining um the members that was part of a new program, Authentic Life and the Healing Blueprint.
Mhm.
And I did that for about a year. Um, and yeah, that's a whole, after what happened, that's a whole other thing, which I can talk about.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's how that started, is I just mentioned to M and he
Mhm.
offered me to do the hosting of the TV and stuff, which was a lot of fun. A lot
So
of
then,
fun.
it's up to you how much you want to share about what happened from then on, because I mean I know a little bit, but of course it's
Yeah,
it's up to you to share what you like
yeah,
to share.
yeah, you know a little bit, but honestly, it did not
I know,
start.
sorry to interrupt, but I know at the time you were going through a lot of personal things as well. So I don't know whether everything just coincided with everything. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of, you know.
Yeah. Um, and this is actually a perfect time to talk about it because it wasn't until really recently that I was able to get clarity of what happened. But I have to go back to 2022. Do you remember? And it was in July. I remember the weekend so clear when we had all gotten together on Zoom and we watched Initiation with Mateus.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So it was July that I had this, and I remember we were listening to the episode, it was episode 3, Trinity.
Mm,
And we were watching that, and I don't know what I can't explain it even to this day, but I just had a surge of energy coming through me. And at that time, Scott was talking, and because I'm hearing impaired, that energy, I was able to not only hear everything crystal clear, but I could feel the words, like
mm,
feel the energy of the words. I'm getting body chills. So that took me out for a day. And I don't think we even completed the whole weekend. But so that happened in July. And then in August, I signed my separation papers.
mm,
And October, I had a Kundalini activation, not an awakening, but an activation that literally kept me in bed for 2 days. And just to back up a little bit, after that experience happened in July, I kept getting this message, this knowing that it was time for me to leave. And I didn't know what that meant or anything.
mhm,
And it just kept coming and it kept coming. And I remember in November of 2022, I was in a meeting with M, and she was making changes. And I just like this knowing of now it's time for me to go.
mhm,
And I said that. I said, I gotta go. And I think she thought I had to go. And she's like, oh, okay, call me back after. And I'm like, no, I mean, I need to stop working. So having all of that happening in such a short amount of time was like just it was just like falling away. And after I left working for them, everything else fell away. And something happened in December. I can't remember what it was. But in January, my father passed away unexpectedly. And then all of 2023, and I moved out in March of 2023, and the whole entire 2023 was the year of grief,
mm,
and everybody fell away, and I knew that I needed to either go in solitude or whatever, but I kept reaching out to people and trying to stay in touch with people, and they either weren't responding to me or or how it just never worked out. And then I went to Florida in October in 2023, and that's when we finally met
in
face to
person, yeah,
face.
yeah,
And and then right after my trip to Florida, I went into a 3 month dark night of the ego,
mm,
like badly. And it scared me, but it was one of those things that if I died, wouldn't wouldn't care. And when I had to go to the store, and I remember I would walk to my car, and it's like, "You know what? If a Mack truck hit me and I die, good, I hope so." So it was a really, really bad, bad dark night of
Mhm.
the soul and ego. And
And
then I
then
came out of it, and I remember the day I came out of the dark night, January 11th, 2024. 111.
wow. Did you wake
Yeah.
up? Did you wake up and you could feel the shift that happened? Was it one of them things that just, because I know we've gone, first of all, I need to back up a bit of, I love that you call it the dark night of the ego because I totally approve. I agree with that. It's not the soul that goes through all the shittery, it's the death of the ego that happens when all of that happens.
Yeah.
And,
And I
and,
learned that from Christina Lopes
right.
because I had worked with her for a little while in
Hmm.
2023. So, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't even know what, oh yeah, whenever we go through those stages, sometimes through our lives, there are ones that you feel like you're never going to come out of no matter what you do. No, they feel so deep and so real and so intense, and you don't feel like there's ever going to be an escape from them. And then one morning
Hmm.
you wake up and it's like, oh, what the hell just happened, or some of them are more gradual and you can feel yourself coming out of them gradually. It's
Yes.
more a slower process. So which one was this for you on the 11th of January? like you said.
Well, yeah, you're right. You are so right because it would be like, especially after about a month and a half, I was like, I would wake up and I'm like, is this the day? Like every morning I said, is this the day? And then I wait for the feeling. It's like, nope, it's not the day. But before January 11th, leading up to that, especially when I got to January, I could feel that it was starting to lift. And like January 9th, is this today? Nope. January 10th, is this today? It's like I almost feel like I'm there. Like I could feel that I was there. And then January 11th, I woke up and it was like I could breathe for the first time.
Hmm.
And so January 11th, I don't know. It just, it was fascinating because it was 111 and it almost seemed like there's a message there, but I don't know what it is.
Hmm.
But I'm just so whenever I see 111, I always think of that time I came out of the dark night.
So how's it been? How's it been since? What are we now? March? Hold on, because you said
Yeah,
that was
much.
2024 when you came out of it, right?
Yeah.
So what was the year of 2024 like for you? Because I know, was it, when did we, I don't even know, I can't remember now what period of time we didn't speak at all. And then what was it? Did you sign up for one of my breathworks? Was that it? That I reached out to you and I said thank you for joining or something? I can't even
I
remember.
yeah, I can't remember either, but I did join your breathwork ceremony that you did have. And honestly, I don't know. It almost seems like I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember I messaged you for some reason, and then
Yeah.
and then I think we said, "Oh, let's get on a call." But before we got on a call, I was supposed to have a breath work. You signed up for the breath work, and you were the only person that signed for it. So then we ended up not doing any freaking breath work, and we just spoke for an hour and a half about catching up
Yes.
lives and
Oh
what
my
happened.
gosh. Yeah.
So I don't even know when that was, to be honest. But I know
I,
I remember when we spoke at that time. It felt like, because it was 2024 and it felt
yeah.
like, I remember telling you what I had experienced that year and what you had experienced. It was like, oh my god, we've if we've
I
it seems like it's been the year of the shittery for everybody, because it wasn't just us,
yes.
when we were talking about it. I remember just thinking about, oh my god, it's not, it seems like it's a global thing, a worldly universal thing, like everybody's
Yeah.
just going through the shits right now, one
Yeah.
way or another. So,
Yeah.
do you remember when that was? I don't even know what. So what was like 2024 for you? Because you mentioned coming out in January out of the dark night of the
Yeah.
what was
Um honestly, I it was the year of getting clarity is the only thing I can think of because I started seeing my patterns
Mm,
and started to truly understand that I knew it intellectually, but I didn't know it, and that it's all me. Like it is all me.
mm, mhm,
And so 2024 was really getting clarity and clear. And I remember talking to you, one of our 2-hour conversation is that I recognize that I have a pattern of expectation.
mhm,
You remember
mhm.
that
Yeah.
conversation?
Mhm. Yep, yep.
And I was like, wow. And I can pinpoint where that came from,
Mm,
crystal clear. And yeah, I was having such a hard time with having a relationship with my boys, especially having a relationship, friendship, work relationship, you know, all of it. And that just got I'm still working through it. And in fact, that feeling came up of, oh, it didn't work out the way I expected it to. And that came up last night, and I had to sit with that. So I'm still working through that. There was a clarity of validation.
mm,
I didn't realize how much I rely on validation. And 2024 also brought up in me that how I hang on to people um, for dear life.
mm,
And I remember, and it was early in 2024 when that came through, how much I need people in my life because I realized why I needed people because that is a validation of, oh, I'm liked by this person.
mhm,
And so, yes, it's like I can start a relationship with somebody, friendship, not romantic, but mostly friendship. That I can start a relationship and then they fall away.
mhm,
And I keep reaching out to that person. Hey,
mm,
how are you? What you doing? Let's connect. And they seem to always, oh, I'm busy, let's try this day or let's try that day, and we just never connect. So I really had a hard time letting people go.
mhm,
And when I did, I realized, oh, they weren't supposed to be on my journey. They were only there for a moment and for a reason. And the reason, what did they teach me?
mhm,
And so I had to look at that. So yeah, so it was those 3 things that came up for me in 2024, and I call it the year of clarity. I
mhm.
call 2023 the year of grief, and I was still grieving in 2024, but I had so much more clarity about myself, and, so yeah,
I love
so
how I know I've noticed a lot of people have this thing of having a theme for every year. But two things because before I go to the year thing, I remember I think it was you that I first heard the saying "a season, a reason, or a lifetime." And
yeah.
every time something happens in my life, and because the same, I have the tendency to want to hold on to whether it's relationships or things being a certain way or situations or whatever. I have the tendency to not want change, because because
Yeah.
I just want things a certain way, and then when they change, it doesn't feel great. And
Mhm.
and I remember the first time I actually felt this, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is that thing that's happening right now," of reason, lifetime. But like even a friendship with Stanton, my boy,
Yeah.
I went through a stage of being so close to him, and then he started working something else, and then we just couldn't. talk as much as we used to, you know. And there was a
Yeah.
part of me that was like, I so miss that. I want that to stay. I want that not to change. And then I had to work quite a bit with that idea of, it doesn't mean that it's ending, or it doesn't mean that it's stopping, you know. Maybe it just it's going through seasons, right?
Yeah.
of we had the season of whatever, spring, let's say, and then everything just germinates and grows and whatever, and now we were probably at winter where everybody's going their different way and looking within or whatever, you know. But I have that in my head many times when it's I'm thinking right now, meeting people in particular, you know, of
Mm.
relationships that I would want to have when it comes to friendships, let's say. And some people have come and gone, you know. And I think I even had that with you. Just thinking back at it, I was like, oh, maybe we were just for a reason in each other's lives, you know, and we just had
Yeah.
to go our different ways. And yeah, that was the first part that was crossing my mind. And now
Yeah.
the other part is, because you said you had the year of grief and then the year of clarity. Do you have a word for this year yet, or do you feel anything brewing, or is it more like once the year is gone, you're kind of figuring it out and putting puzzle pieces together as to what the year was for you?
Well, this year I have to say it's the year of shit show. Oh, I'm sorry.
God, it's all right.
I hope you are creating bloopers.
It spilled a little bit on my leg, so it's not the biggest. I didn't spray it everywhere. That was so perfectly timed. Oh my God. It's okay. The shit show making its way right here, right now. I mean, it couldn't have been more appropriate.
I mean, come on.
Holy
I
moly.
mean, this energy shit that's happening is a fucking shit show.
Right.
But I mean, I might come up with another name in December. I don't know. With the planet alignment and Mother Gaia's energy is shifting and going through its own shifts, and it's just it,
Your own
it's
internal
it's
soul.
affecting me physically. It's
Mhm,
affecting me physically
mhm.
and emotionally. Sometimes I notice. Um, but oh my God, this is like I just feel like I'm hypersensitive to all of this. Now, if this happened in 2020, I don't think I would recognize any of this, but because of all the work, the inner work, and all of the teaching and the listening to videos, reading, and I feel like I've become sensitive in
Mhm,
some way.
mhm.
But yeah, we're at the beginning of March, and I consider it a shit show. Like, literally, a shit show.
It's funny because I feel you on the shit show part when it comes to how everything feels, because you mentioned planetary alignments and Mother Gaia and whatever, and I know whatever we're feeling energetically on the macro is because the micro is going through all the shitteries, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I keep hearing myself saying shitteries, fuckeries, all of these things, you know, they're all happening. Oh, your turn. Your
I
turn.
almost
You're going to spill it everywhere. And I also see the other part of why all these things are happening. For me in particular, it just feels like nothing makes sense at this point. None of it
Yeah,
makes sense. Like, I don't understand how even the way like day-to-day life is, you know, and this thing of working a job or finding a place to live, because you know, you've watched
y
my life. It's so funny because I was
yeah,
thinking, I went out for a walk before we got on here and went and done a little bit of shopping, and I was thinking, how have I actually shared my whole life on YouTube and Facebook, because I'm sharing the little clips on there too. And
yeah,
and the amount of embarrassment that would sometimes come up to my head of, of self-judgment, because that's what it is. That's when that peeks its head up, when I judge myself so harshly, because I sometimes feel that I should be somewhere else, or should be doing something
Yeah.
else, or should be more more whatever, all the fucking shoulding,
Right.
all the
Yeah.
shoulding that shouldn't happen. And then as soon as I become aware of that and zoom out of that and realize this is it, like this is what life is, this is why my soul is here, to experience all of this,
Mm.
and then also seeing that it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
There's beautiful weather outside, things like that. Start with the little
Yeah.
things. The fact that I can walk, the fact that I can do the things that I like to do, the fact that I get to connect with people this way, and just do the
Yeah.
things that I really love doing. There's so many good things in the world. I live with my person. I'm not on
Yeah.
my own anymore. I've got all of that going for me. so
Yeah.
so it's not all doom and gloom. And I totally believe, as I'm speaking it right now, I think this whole shit show situation, it's shit and honey show. Shit and honey show. But we gotta figure out another combination. Honey and shit show. That might work. Because it's gotta roll off the tongue, but I totally feel like it's not always doom and gloom. It's not
Mm.
always,
Yeah.
like it's the our lives falling apart, even though it does feel like that. And it is for the ego, for the mind,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it feels like everything is falling apart, and it's us trying really, really hard to hold on, as I was saying earlier,
Yeah.
about I don't want things to change. I want them to stay the same, because that's what it feels, that's what my human self knows, and it's
Yeah.
scared shitless of the things that it doesn't know.
Right.
When in fact, even talking to Isaiah many times, it's not the things that we don't know about, the unknown, right? It's the things that we
Yeah.
know, and we fear that
Yeah.
those are going to happen again, or whatever. I don't even know where I'm going
Yeah.
with this at this point. The whole shit show idea.
No, I get it because, it's funny, and I was just thinking about this the other day that not only is this year so far is a shit show, but it's also for me that I'm letting go of the things that used to freak me out. And I give you an example. I literally have $17 in my checking account, and I don't get paid until Saturday. And I think I'm okay food wise. My bills are paid. I have a very little bit of gas, but I don't have to go very far. And that normally would freak me out. But now it's like, okay, I have $17. I'm grateful I have that.
Hmm.
And I'm okay. And I know I'm safe. And I know that it's all going to be okay. And I think I gotta tell, I don't know if I ever told, I don't think I did tell you because you got busy starting the middle of December that, and this is part of the clarity, is that, and it happened in December 24th, the D on my car for drive was flashing. And I
Hmm.
thought, oh, the divine is sending me a message. That's what I literally thought. And I'm like, oh, okay. But, and I would running around doing errands and but it kept doing that every time I got in my car and started driving it with I'm like, okay, I don't think the divine is sending me a message. So I looked it up, and long story short, it has to do with my transmission.
Hmm.
And the more I looked into it, the more I realized it can cost 1,500 to 3,000. At the time, I only had $500 in my savings,
Hmm.
which now I only have $4 in my savings. But anyway, so I had that, and then that same day, December 24th, I had a crack in my bedroom window, and it was freezing cold. I have no idea how long it's been there. And then I went to get mail, opened up a letter, and my accountant is retiring from doing taxes. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? I'm like, okay, I just have to find another CPA but what am I going to do about my car? And how am I going to fix the window? And I was in it. It's like, I don't have money. How am I going to pay for this? And I was like literally freaking out. I had to have my car towed to a trusted mechanic, and I asked my ex-husband if I could use his AAA to
Mhm.
tow my car because I didn't have one. And to my surprise, he said, sure. So January 2nd, we had my car towed. My accountant, my mechanic was gonna look at it on the 3rd. So that week, I'm just like, okay, he's gonna have to keep my car until I can come up with however much money it's gonna cost me. And I was like, I was fine, and maybe my older son can take me grocery shopping once a week. I'll figure it out. I don't want to deal with this, and I just let it go. For January 6th, a Monday, I get a phone call from my mechanic, and he's talking to me like I know what he's talking about, and he's like, "Well, it's like Swiss B," and I'm like, "Craig, how much is it gonna cost?" And he said $388. I said, "What? Like 300, not 3,000?" He said, "No, 300." And I'm like, and he goes, "Honestly, I thought it was going to be 2,000."
Wow.
But once I got to look at it, I realized, oh, it's not that bad. So I had 500 I could pay for. I'm like, what? While I'm on the phone, I get a ding on my phone saying that I have a text message. And I get off the phone with my mechanic, looked at the text message, and said, your window is going to be fixed tomorrow, Tuesday.
Perfect.
That's when I truly knew what it meant to let it go.
Mm, mhm,
That is, and so now I only have $17 in my checking and $4 in my savings. I'm just like, I'm fine.
mhm,
I'm safe.
mhm,
I don't need anything in this moment.
mhm,
And that's what I'm starting to see so far this year of me not like, oh my God, I don't have any money. How am I going to do this? To me, in 6 months, that may be a different story. It's like, oh my God, I don't have a home. I don't know.
I
But that is what is showing up for me so far this year is not panicking.
mhm,
And then also, I think also helps that I don't have any responsibilities. Like I don't have a spouse, I don't have my boys, I don't have anything. So I think if I had that,
you would freak out a bit more.
I'm right because it's like, oh my God, what if they need this? What if they need, I would probably, but I don't know.
Mhm.
So,
It's crazy that it's March already, by the way, because when you said about in January, and I'm like, my brain is cannot understand how it's March already. And also, I so see that too for myself, the not freaking out part, even though I freaked out big time. Like I went
hmm
on the down spiral of not knowing and fear, especially because it's the same pattern as last year for me. The same
yeah,
loop that happened in June of last year of where am I going? I'm going to end up on the streets and not know what to do. Where's money going to come from? Well, all of that, and I can totally,
right.
and I told myself with the magic that had happened last year, that I could not see happening whatsoever. I told myself I'm never gonna forget that, but remember not to freak out. All was the other
hmm
one. Like remember not to freak out. That things are always working out one way or another without me knowing how and where and whatever. And it still didn't
Yeah.
stop me from going down the loop of freaking out.
Right,
Honest.
right.
Even though I know now, looking back at it, I know that I needed to allow the fear to pick its head up for me to accept it, instead of trying to get rid of it or working my way out of it, because sometimes I know there's waves that come and go all the time, right? and
hmm
and some of them are just like a little bit of the ego trying to have a little nip at us, and it's like, no,
Mhm.
not today, devil. Some of them are bigger things that we really need to look at and work with rather than push away and transform in more trauma basically in our bodies.
Yeah.
So I get the lesson that you're having this year about not freaking out is my lesson too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you went through, oh my gosh. I mean, your story, and I hope someday you'll share that whole entire story because
Which one?
what you went through and seeing where you are today is just so inspiring. It really, really is. And I hope that you will share the whole entire story someday. But yeah, I mean, I think about you and yeah, it's just so inspiring. It really, really, really is. And how you push through all of that
Yeah.
is,
I don't
you
know.
know,
Sometimes it's like, who are you talking about? Because it's not me. I can't see it. I don't know. I'm like, where? Hold up. What did I
r-
do again? How am I so
right,
inspiring?
right, right.
I don't see.
No, I get it. Yeah. But I know once you get past that and you look back, it's like, oh,
Hmm.
I get it now.
Hmm.
And that's what it sounds like you are able to do
Yeah,
too. It's
because
like, oh,
if I think about it, like we all know this whole Abraham Hicks part of feel what it feels like and focus on that rather than focusing on what is right now, right?
mhm,
And feel the feeling of already having the things that you want to have or the things that you want to experience, and then you will attract that towards you, right? And it's harder when you're faced with, I don't know, there's a big shit show happening in front of you, right? Your life is a
yeah,
complete power moment. And you're like, how do I not look at it? How do I not try to fix it? How do I trust that I'm always being looked after and things are always working out? And how do I trust that? I think that's where the challenge comes in. Instead of
mm,
allowing the momentum to take over us completely and going down that route, how do I remind myself all the time that things are always working out,
mhm,
and it's not all doom and gloom after all.
yeah,
Because I think that's what creates more of the doom and gloom. The more we
yeah,
focus on it, the more we focus on it. And it's interesting because the lady that I had on Friday, that I interviewed on Friday, she pulled a card for me,
uh-huh,
and the card was called wishing well, and she said make sure you are careful what you wish for, because it's manifesting really quickly. And in my case, I'm wishing for all the, not necessarily wishing for in those terms, but I'm like looking
r
at the bad things, trying instead of looking at the good, better ones that are already
yeah,
manifesting in my life, and just focus my awareness somewhere else, which, yep.
yeah. Are you able to look back and say and truly be grateful for all those scary moments that I mean, what you went through was scary moments.
I mean,
Um,
funnily enough, this past week, I would say, or since I kind of picked my head up, because if I think about it, not much has changed in my environment. I'm not like living in the biggest of abundance of my life and living my whole purpose, my life's purpose, and whatever, like all that thing that everybody talks about. It's not like it's, oh my God, it's all rainbows and unicorns right now.
right.
But it feels like that.
Yeah.
It feels like that, which to me is the first step. To me, that's the first step. Instead of thinking, oh my God, it's so shit right now and it's so scary and what do I do, just that shift in mindset of yes, I am being looked after all the time. Things are always
Mm,
working out, and I don't even know how to explain what
I
exactly
know.
shifts that, because it's not you can wish yourself into feeling that as much as you want. Sometimes it
Mhm.
just doesn't happen. Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes it is, the like Emma Scott would say, allowing the flow to run its course, because it is a natural flow that happens. You go through all the seasons, right? Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And sometimes
Yeah.
you gotta be in winter. Sometimes you just gotta stay in the energy that's coming up to the surface and learn to love yourself in those emotions. And I think
Yeah.
that's my biggest lesson of
Yeah.
learning to love myself no matter what.
Yeah.
Because I
And
feel,
when you're
go on.
yeah, and when you're in it, you can't remember that
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
and because we can be so judgmental about ourselves
Mhm.
that it's like it's just so hard to remember sometimes. And it's like, and I remember when I was in that dark night of the ego, I was so judgmental of myself, especially as the weeks went on. It's like, oh, this is ridiculous. It's like, can you just be done with it? I mean, like literally, I'm like, okay, we're going on 2 months. Okay, now we're going on 3 months. This is ridiculous. Like,
Mhm.
I hated being in there, but I knew I had to. Like, I had to. I had no choice. And but then when you come out of it, it's like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, I was not so nice to myself.
Mhm.
And it's so hard to give yourself grace in those moments.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah,
That's a
I
big
definitely, yeah.
It's a big lesson for all of us, to be honest, just to
Mhm.
learn to love ourselves and to remember, to remember in those moments. If we could
Yeah.
have like a big freaking sticker on our foreheads everywhere we walk, remember to
Right?
love yourself. Have
Yeah.
compassion for yourself right now. Stop judging.
Right.
Put the judgment down. Because
Yeah.
we
Oh my
listen
god.
too much to everybody else's judgment, because after all, everybody else's judgment is what we think they judge us for.
Mm.
So it's what we judge ourselves. Anyway, what
Yeah.
are you doing besides, because now you said you it sounds a bit like your head is more above water, right? And things are a bit more rainbow and unicorns a little
Right.
internally.
Yeah.
So what else are your plans for now? Or do you
Uh,
have any plans at all? Maybe it could be no plan.
well, I haven't told you,
Mm.
and only 3 people know that I'm trying to pursue this, so this will be a surprise for you.
Woo.
So you remember when I said that documentary kept appearing, whether it's words, somebody saying it and stuff? Well, I am working toward creating a documentary about emotions
Wow.
and um, how we work through them, how basically giving people permission to feel the emotion,
Mm.
to release them and stuff. It's not clear yet, meaning I know about where I want to go, and I actually submitted a proposal to a producer, and I have not heard yet,
Oh.
but I'm going to keep pounding because I gotta tell you this quick story, and I know I can't tell quick stories, but anyway, um, this was in the fall of last year. I was really in deep thought about this meditation, this documentary that I wanted to do. I was really deep in thought, and I was about to get out of my car, and I had my door open, and it's like I had to because just things were just coming, and I didn't want to move, and I wanted it all to come in. And at that moment, and it's been years since I've seen a bumblebee.
Mm.
And it was like it came towards my face and in front of my face, and then I kind of swatted away, and it went away, but came right back and in front of my face. And I'm like, okay, what was that about? So I actually looked up what it could possibly mean in the spiritual
Yeah.
way, and it said, I have to paraphrase, but it said something about what y when a bumblebee approaches you, what you were thinking in that moment, you have to take action.
No, really now?
Exactly, and I'm like, and I
Do I
snap it
really have
because
to do this?
I snapped it because I wanted to save it,
Mm.
and it's like no one would believe me if I, tried. So, because I was still humming and hawing at that moment, and because I'm not crystal clear of how I want this to go,
Mhm.
it's what you were thinking in that moment, you need to take action.
Mm. Mhm.
So I came back into my apartment and jotted down a few things, and then a few weeks after that, I sent a proposal to a producer.
I mean, see, this is it. You don't know who's gonna watch this, right? I don't know
Right.
who's gonna watch it. Maybe there's gonna be somebody that's gonna be like, "Oh, actually, you know what? There's my person. I was looking for somebody to make a documentary about emotions and whatnot. There she is. She's already got the idea. We're gonna get her on."
Right.
That
Oh,
is
that's
pretty cool.
true.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. So that's my plan,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's been going on 5, maybe 4 years when documentary just keep coming up somehow, and
Hmm.
it's like, okay, I need to do this.
Hmm.
So,
That
and
is pretty cool. I
that's
mean,
my
imagine
plan.
imagine this, the ninja on Gaia. 'Cause
Oh my god.
what? Never mind initiation with Matthias Di Stefano. It's gonna be how to come out of the shit show with ninja. That's what it's gonna be called. Never mind. Who? Matthias Di Stefano. Who? Who cares? Who dispensa? Who? No, let's go and watch
Right.
Ninja, and she's gonna teach us this and that and the other. That's gonna be pretty. I don't know whether you're gonna use the name Ninja or not, because I know you don't have a specific name that you use as much anymore. It could be Susie or Ninja or
I
anything else.
know.
Anything else.
Adira.
Akira, yeah, that was another one.
Oh yeah. I didn't even talk about that either, but that's fine. But I think I told you that I actually still use Adira, but I refer it to my higher self.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, which actually I'm starting to that name's starting to fade away too. I
Mm-hmm.
noticed that. It's like, okay, I
Yeah,
want to
it's
call you something, but
Yeah, it's interesting because I've noticed it's similar with all my names, because I've had so many throughout, and I've anybody calling me any name, I'm still probably. It's like I had different characters in different movies, and a lot of people know me in different movies. Same with you, right? Like a lot of people know you in your different movies, and they call you by that character. I've noticed
yeah,
gigs is not as present anymore. Not a lot of people still call me gigs.
I
Maybe,
noticed that, and I don't call you gigs
yeah,
either.
yeah.
Yeah. So wow.
No, it's just changes, right?
Hmm.
That we
Yeah.
go through. Oh my God,
Yeah.
what else is there? Is there anything else that you would like to share? I don't even know. I thought we were gonna go on so many avenues, and I feel like we have, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. Well, one of the things that um I want to share because you're doing a breathwork ceremony
Mhm.
is talk about the breathwork.
Mhm.
And I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016. So when I started doing the breathwork in 2020, um, I didn't. First of all, and you can probably say validate this too because I didn't realize how important breathing is.
Mm.
And when you're in fight and flight for your whole life and not realizing it. So it took me a long time to get into that rhythm of the breathing and stuff. So I don't know if you knew this because I think you came in 2021,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So I started the breathwork in July, and by November, I started getting this question. It's like because the medication that I was taking is a 5-year long period,
Mhm.
and I kept getting this, what not me. It was saying, "What's gonna happen after 5 years?" And every time I pop the medicine in my mouth, I'd be like, "I don't think I really need this." And so that started happening in November. And in February of 2021, I stopped my medication. I had
Mm.
another year to go. and I
Mhm.
stopped my medication. I went to my oncologist. I was a good patient, following the appointment, and my blood work came back saying something was high, and she said, "I'm gonna need you to stop taking this medication." And in 4 months, we will put you
How
on a different chemo pill.
yeah.
And and I'm like, I haven't taken my medicine for probably a month, and I'm saying this to myself, and I'm like, do I tell her? And I'm like, nah. And so I'm like, okay. And I never went back.
Mm. Mhm.
And I've never gone back to
Mhm.
her. So I just wanted to just say how much breath work really changes you know it more, you're certified, but it changes everything in your body.
Mhm.
And there's some words in there, I can't remember what they are, but your nervous system readjusted and things like that. So
Mhm.
I just want to, just say how grateful I am for that.
Mhm.
And
I
I'm
know.
not suggesting anybody stop their medication. By no means am I saying that. That was just for me. I don't want people saying, typing you and it's like, anyway, but yeah, by no means am I suggesting that everybody stop their medication, but that was just for me, and I haven't looked back.
I mean, in the times, in the years that I've been in the courses and the groups and everything that I've been part of, I've noticed that that is a side effect. I would say the positive side effect of breath work.
Yeah,
The more you
yeah,
do it, the more your body's like, actually, I've got my own inner energy source. Actually, I've got my own inner pharmacy, and it has been a thing for a lot of people that have joined the courses that Em and Scott have been put up out. They it just you stop taking them, and not
yeah,
necessarily that you decide one day I just don't want to do this, like you said, right? That could be a
yeah,
thing too. It's just like their bodies don't need it anymore, and there is an internal guidance that's kind of telling you. So thank you very much for
yeah,
sharing that, because yeah, a lot
yeah,
of people, even if it isn't like stopping medication altogether, but the benefits of breath work in general. Because yes,
yeah.
a lot of people are like, oh, I know how to breathe, I breathe every day. but then you see
Right,
but then you see all the bloody mouth breathers.
right,
Everybody
right.
doesn't even realize that we got a nose to breathe through. There's a
Yeah,
reason why it's there. So and there's
yeah,
so many
cause
people do it. Yeah. Go
yeah, yeah. Cause when I first started, I was breathing from the chest,
mm,
and they're trying to say breathe through the belly, and I'm like, I can't do that.
mhm, mhm.
And of course now it's just easy peasy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I just wanted to say, because I think breath work, of all the work that I would trying to do before
Yeah.
Beyond Limits, breath work was the missing piece
Mm.
of it.
It
And
is like
I
a
didn't
It's like a rocket up your ass, isn't it? There is
Yeah.
no better way. There literally is no better way to put it. Like, there probably is. There are many other ways in which to explain it, but a rocket up your posterior is probably the best one
Yeah.
when it comes to how quickly things change. Because it's not just,
Mhm.
of course, you can do meditation and other people try other various modalities that are out there. But when you start breathwork, it's just like the extra level of elevation, whether
Yeah.
it's physical,
Yeah.
whether it's emotional, mental, and of course you got to prepare for the other level of shit show.
Oh my
Because it
gosh.
does bring,
Yeah.
like, thing a lot of people breathe through their chest and they don't even know they gotta breathe in their belly, but they can't
Yeah.
even do it because the emotions are all stored in the belly. So you
Yes.
can't breathe deep, because then the emotions are going to come up with every exhale. So
Yeah.
being prepared to face that every time,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not for the faint of heart, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah. No, you said it perfectly. It's not. And if you know, you got to be ready. I didn't know what I was getting into.
Mm,
And so for me, having no expectation,
that helps.
exactly. So, but Anybody who's listening to that is like, "Oh, that sounds scary." It is.
Well, you gotta be
It
prepared for
is.
it, but you can't at the same time. Like nothing prepares
Right.
for it. Because I think sometimes it is. It's good to have a little bit of knowing what your next steps are and what you're getting
Yeah.
yourself into. But sometimes it's probably best not to.
Yeah.
you know. And
Right?
as everything else, you go into, let's say, a breathwork ceremony and you have an intention, not an expectation. So you can have an
Yeah.
intention of what you would want to, I don't know, put out there, but not an
Yeah.
expectation of how it's gonna come, what's gonna happen, all of that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Totally. Yeah. So,
So that's what's happening.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, breath work really, you just have experiences that will make you question that if you made it up. Yes. Um, but I just got so used to it that I remember my first release, like energy release where my body was shaking, was 9 months. It took me 9 months to
Hmm.
get to that point. And a few months after went to another retreat, and that is actually been was recorded, so I actually have it recorded,
Hmm.
and I will watch it if I have energy that's stuck and I can't do it myself. Watching that will open my
Channel.
valve, and I just let it go.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then ever since then, it's like I'm doing something.
Hmm.
I'm always moving.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I guess this is not. This is probably the one part that a lot of people are not prepared for, or even know that that's normal and natural
Mm,
for the body to be able to shake off
exactly.
whatever. Like there's that polar bear video that Em has in her course, right, where she shows the polar bear literally after it goes through fight and flight, what
Yeah,
the body does to release that energy, that pent up energy. And we
yeah,
don't know as humans. Nobody told us, in school
yeah.
or family at home, or nobody teaches
Right,
us stuff. That's normal.
right.
Once you go
Yeah,
through some scary shit, you need to let it out of your body.
yeah.
Because
I
otherwise.
mean, yeah, animals have the instinct to shake off that.
Hmm.
And it can be, a lion chasing, uh, a cheetah. And when there's a chase like that, and then the chase stops, you always see the animals shake off their that energy, that
Hmm.
fight and flight and stuff. And you're right. I don't. I certainly didn't grow up with a parent that knew any of that.
Hmm. I don't think a lot of us did.
Yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, but this is why we do what we do, right? Because
yeah.
that's the only way to bring awareness to other people, by doing
Mhm.
it ourselves.
Yeah,
So that's what's gonna
yeah,
happen later today, which is so bloody exciting. And I guess by the time this comes out, there might have probably been many others in between. But yeah, are you
yeah.
still joining? Are you able to join at all or not?
Yes, I gotta sign up for it, but I'll do that as soon as I'm done, I promise. I just gotta use PayPal.
That's fine. It doesn't matter which
Thank
way, whichever way.
thank God for PayPal.
You have to PayPal, right?
Yeah,
So we've been at it for
so
over an hour now.
yeah. Oh my gosh, has it?
Great,
Wow.
great. I love it. I am so grateful that we managed to do it, because I think we decided to have this conversation. Probably, I think the first time was November. We set up a time in November, and then that didn't happen. And then you had a surgery in December, and then we
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be after that, but that didn't happen because, of course, it was too close to your surgery. So then.
Yeah, yeah, you brought it up last summer, and I'm like, maybe." And then and then I think in October, it's like, "Should we?" And I'm like, not yet." But yeah, we did try to do this 3 times, so
Yeah.
I
So
think.
now here we are. Finally, it's
Yeah,
finally happened,
yeah,
and I'm so grateful for it. And I'm grateful for you and for accepting
yes,
to do this.
I
And
yeah.
I loved
Well,
it.
you made this very easy and comfortable, so I do appreciate that, because I'm not, "Here I am,"
Yes, you
type
are.
of girl.
You've done so well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because it's all good. It's all fun and games. Holy moly. Well, I was
So,
gonna. Oh, I just looked at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. Like it was right. I just looked at the timer on it. That's crazy.
oh, see? 111.
Too many ones in there in one go.
I know. I
But
know.
anyway, thank you very
All
much for
right.
being here.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to hearing what the documentary is gonna be and when it's gonna come out and all of that part. Who
Yeah.
knows?
You might have to, what do they call those?
I might have
After
to
parties. You have to
have you
do an
again.
after party. Yeah.
For sure. In the meantime,
Uh,
well, until I see you in the next 2 hours, have a great rest
yeah.
of your day.
You too.
And I'll see you later.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you. Bye.
Bye.